Good morning, everyone. In today's class, we will be discussing about communalism. The reason, why we have taken up this particular topic, just 2 days back, we have seen riots in Bangalore. Okay, we have seen uh, in that Halli police station, DJ Halli police station. We have seen people belonging to one particular community surrounded the police station and eventually vandalized the whole property and burned the buses. And we have seen uh, what you call injuries to the police personnel and eventual lathi charge by the police personnel. Okay, so we have seen very chaotic situation uh, in one part of the Bangalore just a few days back, just 2 days back. Okay, so this is not the only incidents. The country, okay, in every time. So the occurrence of things are becoming what you call it's becoming quite natural. At the same time, the time limit also is very less. If today in one place if the riot is happening, within few days or within a month we are seeing a riot in another place. So that's why it has become a severe cause of concern, because communalism is actually affecting one of our core values of the constitution. Okay, that is the secular values, the liberal values, equality, fraternity. So all these constitutional values are getting affected whenever if there is any communal right that took place. So in this context, so I too felt like it is appropriate to provide a background detail with respect to communalism in India. So for that, what I did is like I have first taken up this particular topic. The name of the topic, as you all can see here, communalism. What is communalism? Why it is a menace? Menace means a kind of what you call the one that negatively affects the society. Okay, so why it need to be stopped? So this should be our ultimate topic here. So here I divided this whole topic into different subtopics. Suppose, for example, first one is definition. Okay. Second one is stages of formation. Stages of formation. Third one is characteristics of a communist. Sorry, communalist. Okay. Fourth one is dimensions. Different dimensions to communalism. Okay. Next one is after these dimensions we can discuss like yes, communalism in India. Communalism in India. Next, sixth one is factors responsible for communalism. Factors responsible. Impact of communalism. Okay. So after impact, finally, what should be the way forward? So these are total 8 broad dimensions You can see here. So for the first one, suppose it will be like this. So what is the definition? How can you define the term communalism? Okay. What are the stages of its formation? What are its characteristics? Okay. Different dimensions. We have different types of communalism. Okay. Next, how communalism actually started in India? What are the factors responsible for that? So what is the impact of communalism? Finally, what should be the way forward? Okay. So first, let's come to the definition. So what's the definition of communalism? What is communalism means? So communalism means it is a rivalry. It is a rivalry kept and practiced by one community towards another. Okay, so this is a simple definition of communalism. So rivalry. So rivalry kept and practiced. So you have the rivalry with them. At the same time, you are practicing the rivalry with them, with another community. Okay. At the same time, bothering only about one's own religion. Okay. So bothering only about one's own religion and considering the welfare of other religion as a threat to one's own religion. Okay. So here this community, if you take the community in the form of religion, it means you bothers about your welfare of your own religion, but you consider the other religion's welfare as a threat to your own religion. So if they are becoming peaceful, and if they are strengthening themselves economically and socially, you consider them as a threat to you. Suppose, for example, if I am a Hindu, okay, so when I will be called as a communalist, if I have filled with hatredness towards another community, suppose considered as Muslim community or Christianity. So if I sees the growth, that means the political socio-economic growth of Muslim community as a threat to my community, it means I'm communalist. Okay, so you can test yourself. So whether you're a communalist or not, you can test. So when you have this feeling like only my religious people should grow and the other shouldn't grow, the other religious people, so here the community means religious based community. So it means you are a communalist. So this is the definition. So you will be having this rivalry kept and practiced against another religion. This is what we call as communalism. Okay. So the next one is stages of formation. What are the stages? Okay. See, stages of formation means here, so how communalism within the individual actually forms. Okay. So there are actually 3 stages. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Okay. So how communalism actually forms in these 3 stages. Suppose, for example, take community A, community B. There are two communities, community A and community B. So in stage one, first actually happened, what actually happened? See, this community A feels that our community is good. What they say? Our community is good. Okay. So if you respect your community, it means it can be A or it can be B. If both the communities feel that our community is good, that means our community is best. Is there anything wrong in that? So if both A and B, if they are in stage one, okay, still it's fine. But still it's a danger. Why? You are having too much, you're feeling too much proud about your community. Okay, but still fine, not that much a threat. Okay, then come to the second stage. In second stage, what will happen? Our community, okay, is the only community that is good. See, the second stage, we added a point. What is this here? Only. So when you reach to the second stage, what kind of feeling you have? Our community is the only community that is good. But still, you don't have anything with the other communities. You're having too much feeling proudness about your community in the second stage. Okay, still fine, still chalta. Okay, still we can tolerate it if it reaches to second stage. If it reaches to second stage, still it is not good, but still we can tolerate. Though it is painful, but still the pain to some extent we can tolerate. Because what they're saying, what the community people are feeling there, our community is the only community that is good. Okay, pain started increasing, but still okay. But when it reaches to third stage, what is the third stage? Our community is the only community that is good, and others are bad. When you come to this conclusion, what is that? Our community is the only good community and others are bad. When you reaches to this conclusion, it means you already feel hatredness in you. You already feel hatredness against another community within you. So that's what you're saying. My community is the only community that is good. Rest all the communities, they're a threat to our country. Okay, they're anti-national. Then you start criticizing the other community. When you reaches to the third stage, then you will become fully communal. Now nobody can stop you. Definitely, you will be reaching to such a situation, it leads to violence. Okay, so your acts will be definitely creating a challenge to the other person, because openly you will go and say, what you'll go and say? So this community is bad, this community's practices are bad, or this community is not doing good for the country. You will start openly criticizing the other community. Okay, when you openly start criticizing the other community, then the problem starts. So like this, if both the communities, that is community A and community B, if both the communities, when they're into the same kind of situation, that is stage 3, this is where what happens? Riots happens. Riots means a sudden rise of violence between two communities. Okay, So here, the right took place this communal violence. If it happens between two religions, if the A is one religion, B is another religion, religious-based communal rights. Okay. So this religious-based communal rights. So this is a challenge to our constitutional values. What are the constitutional values? Constitutional values. Constitutional values that will be affected due to communalism. The first and foremost thing, secular values. Secular values. Secular values like liberty, equality, okay, fraternity, okay. Next, unity in diversity. Okay. So all these constitutional values, so they will be affected. Okay. So eventually it will create a kind of challenge in all the dimensions. So we will be having political challenges, we will be having economic challenges, we will be having social challenges, we will be having cultural challenges. So because of communal rights. So that we will be discussing later. So when it reaches to the third stage, all the constitutional values will be affected because we entered into a situation of communal rights. Okay. So this is what you call stages of formation, the second one. Okay. So after this, if you see the next one what we discussed here is characteristics of a communist. Next one is characteristics of a communalist. So what are the characteristics? See, these communalist people, first of all, those who are actually encouraging communalism, they're actually criminals. So they have the criminal thought process in their mind. Okay. So these people, in general, they will not get the opportunity to vent out their feelings. They will always do the secret activities. These criminals, those who encourages vandalism in the name of communalism, suppose for example, like torching the buses, like destructing the governmental property. So those individuals who are actually doing these kind of things, they're actually criminals. They are not the normal civilized persons. So these criminals always have their intentions. They will be doing the secret activities. But they will use this religion when this communalism comes, this communal right happens, because religion is the what you call mass mobilizer. See, if I say something, you will not get hurt much. Suppose, for example, if you criticize, suppose if I have a separate set of beliefs, suppose if I have Islamic beliefs, so openly I criticize the Hindu idols, immediately what will happen? The Hindu sentiment will come. If I happens to be a Christian, if he criticizes Muslims, then immediately against me, what you call some kind of what you call some kind of criticism will come against me. Okay. So, but the thing here is what these communalist people will do. These are actually criminals. Those who actually encourage communal rights, they're actually criminals. So these criminals, okay. So during this what you call challenging situation, because some people will use this for their political opportunity or for their economic opportunity, okay, or to have their social dominance. Because if everybody comes and mixes, then they cannot have their social dominance. That's why this is what Bipin Chandra also says. Okay, so this communalism in India actually started at the elite level, at the top level, because these, they do not want their economic interests, their political interests to be taken over by others. So that's why these people will encourage the criminals, okay, to create rift between the religions. Okay, so in that way, what are the exactly the characteristics of a communalist? So how they look like? First of all, the communalist people, they will be having a weak bonding with another community. So what is their character? They will be having a weak bonding with another community. That means they will have not much of contact with others. Okay, so their bonding is very weak. Second point, if you see, these communalist people, they have a sense of what you call this as ethnic dissatisfaction. Ethnic dissatisfaction. Okay, what you call here, you can make like a sense of ethnic means what here? Ethnic means cultural. Okay, that means what they feel, they have some kind of dissatisfaction. In what way? Our culture somehow being what you call not being taken seriously by others. We are culturally inferior. They are becoming culturally superior. We are becoming culturally inferior. So these communalist people, they have this kind of thing in their mind. They think like their culture is being taken away by somebody else. Okay, so they are becoming culturally inferior. So to showcase their cultural strength, so sometimes what they do, they feel like because our culture is being taken away by somebody else, we need to protest. So we need to fight. We need to use violence. So in this way, they have this kind of criminal thoughts. So openly, nobody will, if you have the original consents, nobody will take away your cultural values. You can practice them. Okay, but what these people will do, because they have these characteristics, okay, later they will try to impose these characteristics on others. This is what. So the second point is ethnic dissatisfaction. The third point, if you see, this is what you call like, they feel like uh, sense of negligence. Sense of negligence. Negligence by the society. Okay. So what is the third point? What they feel here? They feel like they are being what you call neglected by the society. They are not being treated on par with others. So second point, third point is actually development of the second point. Okay. So first they will have dissatisfaction. This eventually leading to negligence. They feel like we are being completely neglected. We are being sidelined. Okay. So it can be like a sideline. So we are being sidelined by the society. Okay. So we need to strengthen ourselves. Okay. So this is what you call that as the characteristics of a communist. Next one is, next you can take, see here, this is what we call as dimensions. Dimensions. See, these communalist people, they have different tendencies. All that means we have different characters, we have different dimensions here. Suppose, for example, if you see, we suppose assimilationist. So we have different dimensions here. The first dimension is assimilationist. 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 Second one is we have here The example of welfareist. Third one is retreat. Okay. Fourth one is retaliatory. Next one is after retaliatory, we have the fifth one, separatist. Sixth one is secessionist. So these are some dimensions. Suppose, for example, some will be having the characteristics of assimilationist. Some communalist people will have the characteristics of welfareist. Some will have the characteristics of retreat. Okay. Some will have the characteristics of retaliatory. Some will have the characteristics of separatist. Some will have the characteristics of secessionist. But see the point here, what you have to understand is that the first three, assimilationist, welfareist, retreat, these three are fine. Okay, they will not lead to any kind of violence. Okay, but if you go for this retaliatory, separatist and secessionist, these three are actually danger. The next three. Okay, so you will understand one by one. So how they are actually different. See, if you see the first one what I mentioned is here, the assimilationist. If you take the case of assimilationist, assimilation means what? Assimilation, simple terms, means combine. So what this assimilation is, suppose for example, if I am an assimilationist, what I will do is like, to showcase my culture, I will try to combine all the cultures. So what I say? Buddhist, okay, Jain, Sikh, okay, and we have tribes. They all part of Hinduism. Okay, so I will try to strengthen the group of Hinduism. Okay, I want to show, suppose for example, Buddhism is a separate religion, Jainism is a separate religion. But what we do, we will try to assimilate all these Buddhists, Jainists and all into the Hindu religion, because they have their ancient historical roots. So by using the historical roots, so what we say, all these belong to the Hindu religion. So that's why recently we justified the Citizenship Amendment Act by using the same concept. But there is nothing wrong in this. Okay, by assimilating others, okay, into your religious faith. Okay, into your religious faith, you want to strengthen your community, you want to showcase that our community is large. So you have a feeling towards the Hindu community. Okay, so, but still there is nothing wrong with this. It's okay, fine. If you're trying to assimilate others into your own religion, okay, still fine, no issues. Okay, so that's why assimilation is not a big challenge to the what you call country. If you want to incorporate your others into your own religion, fine, not a big problem. Next what we discussed it, second one, what we call that is welfareist. Welfareist means here, suppose for example, we have the community group. Suppose for example, in certain schools, okay, or in certain hostels, or some places, only one religious group of people, they will be allowed. Okay, at the same time, you will provide scholarships. You will provide scholarships to only one religious group, one group of people, they are of the same religion. Of the same religion, Suppose, for example, we have these Christian donations. Christian donations. Okay, are donations given by this what you call within that Islamic community or within Hindu community, anything. So here what you're doing, here you are for the welfare of your own community, welfare of your own religion. You're not bothering about others. You're not bothering about others, but you're very much bothering about your religion, but still it is fine. Okay, you're propagating your religion, you're strengthening your religious people. You're taking care for the welfare of them. Still it's fine. Is there anything wrong in this? They are taking care of welfare of their own people, of their own religious people. But they're not hurting any other religious people. Still it's fine. Okay, that's the second one is welfareist. Welfareist is fine. Though they are communal, but their communalism is not danger to the society because they are only bothering about their community. So this is second one. Next one, as we discuss, third one is what we call that as retaliatory. Oh, okay, sorry. Next one is retreat, I think. Next one is retreat. Third is retreat. So retreat means what? Coming back. You're retreating yourself. You're retreating yourself means you're coming back. That means, suppose for example, there is a community called as Baha'i community. Baha'i community. Okay. So this Baha'i community, they will not participate into anything. That means they will live a secluded life. They will not participate into politics. Okay. So they want to protect their community by not joining hands with others. When you are part of the politics, you are joining hands with others, right? So, but this community, what they retreat means what here? They want their religious people or their what you call similar interest people. They should not be touched by anyone. So, to protect their identity, they will not enter into politics. They will not mix with others. Retreat. So, this is one group of people. So, for example, here this Baha'i community. So this is the third one. And the fourth one is what we discussed, the retaliatory. So this is where comes the challenge. What is the fourth one? Retaliatory. Retaliatory means what you do here. Under retaliatory communalism, you will try to harm others, hurting the sentiment of others, harming others. Okay, using violence. What you say? You will try to retaliate. So you say that, see, my community is strong. Okay, if anybody questions us, we will retaliate. So this comes here comes the challenge. So anybody belonging to one group of people, one particular religion, if they says that we will be leading to any extent, we will even encourage violence, but we will not allow any kind of criticism. That means you want to retaliate. Retaliate means, okay, you want to fight against. So with this retaliation, next actually starts what we call as separatist. Next one is separatist. Separatist means our community people should live in one place. Okay, so they will demand a separate statehood. Suppose, for example, take the case of Nagas or take the case of Mijos. They are also communities, tribal communities. They have their own belief systems. So what they are saying, we want a separate statehood for us, on the basis of community. So this is what we call a separatist. So they want to have a separate identity for themselves. So they will say, like, say, we want a separate district for us, or separate state for us. Okay, we do not want to mix with others. All our Nagas will stay at one place. All our Mijos will stay at one place. So this is what we call a separatist. And the last one is what we discussed. The last one, what we call secessionist. Secessionist means secessionist. 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 Secessionist means we don't want to live with you. We want a separate country. We want a separate country. We have seen Khalistan movement. Khalistan movement in that Punjab in 1980s. A simple example of this demand for separate country for the Sikh population. So that is the demand for Khalistan movement. So this is secessionist. So this is the most dangerous form of communalism. Okay. So that's why these are the different dimensions of communalism. So the most dangerous ones are retaliatory, separatist, and secessionist. Okay. So now if you see the origins of this communalism, how communalism actually started in India. How communalism started in India. Okay. So it's a debatable one. Some will say in medieval times, so due to the clash between these two religions, between Hindus and Muslims, okay. So we have started developing the differences between these two religions. Okay. But what most people will say that it is not the ancient and medieval, but it is the British. It is the British who actually, because of who right now we are seeing communalism in India, because they used the divide and rule policy. Divide and rule, that means patronizing one community against another. Okay. Initially, Britishers gave importance to Hindus. See, suppose for example, if you see after that 1857 revolt, after that Sepoy mutiny, because Sepoy mutiny, most of the major crucial players are both Hindus and Muslims. That time, Britishers blamed Muslims for the Sepoy mutiny. So later, that's why what they did, they started strengthening their connections with Hindus. At the same time, Hindus also used this as an opportunity to impart the English education. So this eventually what happens, see the link here. So after imparting the English education, they started getting access to the modern side, the modern education. Okay. But when it comes to the Muslim community, they could not able to catch this. So they considered that, so in this way, because of the patronage of the British, to some extent, at least in the elite sections of the Hindus, they could able to get the British the English language, later utilizing that to get the resources. This could not be the same case for the Muslims. Okay. So they could not able to learn the English, they could not able to come into the formal economy. Okay. So eventually what happened? The backwardness started. This during the time of independence, during the time of freedom movement, okay, it was used as one of the factors by some of the Muslim leaders to what you call to further create the differences. Suppose then they started saying like, see, Muslims are being exploited here, Hindus dominating us. This provided an opportunity for some of the Islamic leaders to exploit. Suppose, for example, take the case of Muslim League. During the time of freedom movement, Muslim League used this exploitation of people, socio-economic exploitation of people as an opportunity to create differences. That's why, take for example, you no need to have religion to encourage communalism. You will use religion. Best example, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he is a Pakka liberal. He is a Lincoln School person. He is a pure liberal. He drinks, he smokes, he doesn't believe much in Quran. But he played a crucial role for the division of India and Pakistan. How? He used religion to mobilize the people. So what you can understand from this? In communalism, In communalism, people will use religion. Some people for their vested interests. Some people for their vested interests, they will use religion because religion is the mass mobilizer. That's why Karl Marx says opium of masses. Religion is the opium of masses. You know opium, right? Drug. So religion is the opium of masses. So it keeps the masses in that dizziness. So that's why Muhammad Ali Jinnah is not a true Islamist. Like he didn't follow much of Quran. But still, he could able to mobilize the people during the time of partition. That's why communalism will not have the religion. No religion will practice communalism. But it is the individuals who will use religion to practice communalism. This is the point you have to understand. Try to understand this difference. No religion will promote communalism, but some individuals will use religion, okay, to promote communalism because they have their vested interests. Okay, suppose for example, I am living in Delhi. Okay, so in one area, so I have the dry fruit business, but I got to know that from another area, another person, they are coming up with a cheap, the low cost dry fruits. They want to enter into my market. But immediately what I will do, I do not want this individual to enter into my market because if he or she enters, then I will be getting the economic loss. So what I will do, then I will say that, see, that individual belonging to another religion, he wants to come and operate in our area. So this area belongs to us. But here, what you say, this area belongs to Muslims. So we should not encourage the Hindus. Or this area belongs to Hindus. We should not encourage the Muslims. So what we are doing here, because of my economic interest, because if that individual comes, I will be at the loss. Okay. So because of my economic interest, I'm not allowing this individual to come and operate here. So for that, what I will do, I will not speak with him directly. I will use religion here because religion, people have these belief systems, right? They have a very strong belief with respect to religion. So this will be exploited by some, okay, for their own individual interests. So that's why same thing was done by Britishers also. Britishers used Hindus against Muslims, later Muslims against Hindus. Suppose for example, take for example this communal accord. Communal accord. Providing reservations, okay, in the what you call it, in sharing of the seats on the base of religion. First started in 1909. Parliamentary reforms. Muslims were provided separate electorate. Sorry, I mentioned this as communal accord. This is separate electorate. Sorry, separate electorate. Communal award which it comes later. It's with Ramsay MacDonald and Ambedkar. So that shouldn't be confused with separate electorate. Separate electorate. So separate electorate for the Muslims in 1909. Later in 1919, separate electorate even for others like Christians and other communities also. So in this way, it is the British who actually sowed the seeds of communalism in the country. This after independence, we could not able to effectively tackle because by that time the differences started. The biggest difference we have seen during the time of partition. The country got divided on the lines of religion. One group of people got separated on the basis of religion. Okay. So after independence, multiple factors started along with the pre-independent factors like the British. Suppose, for example, initially during the time of Nehru, we some extent tried to control communalism. Okay, but after that, what happened after Nehru? Indira Gandhi came. She too tried, but after that, we have seen what happened. The next coming year, they could not able to stop these communal elements to not enter into the politics. Eventually, we have seen these what you call communal elements started entering into the politics. They started utilizing this as an opportunities to divide people on the basis of religion. So demanding people to vote on the basis of religion. In all the religions, it can be Hindus, it can be Muslims, in all. Okay. To sorry. To protect itself, the Congress party also did not come up with much of reforms, electoral reforms. Okay. So these are the reasons why till date we have a communalism in the country. So right now, what are the factors responsible? Factors responsible for communal violence. So we have this divisive politics. Divisive politics. What you call this as appeasement. Appeasement means if you vote for me, then only you will be survived, or else not. Vote on the basis of religion. Okay. Next one is, I told you, economic. Okay. Before that, first zero, historical. Historical, the role of British. Role of British you have to mention. Then economic issues. Okay. So economic means here we have this unequal development. Unequal development. So with that reason, what if that's why you consider like we are being economically exploited. That's why if anybody enters into your area, you feel like you get your opportunities will be taken away by them. So that's why you will retaliate. So economic. Okay. Next one is social backwardness. Social backwardness. Okay. So you feel like you socially you are being considered as backward, or what you call what we call that as minority fears. Okay. Minority fears. What is minority fears means? What here, like we feel like we are the small group of people and we have this majoritarianism. This majoritarianism, that suppose, for example, take the case of Article 44, Uniform Civil Code. Okay. So why Uniform Civil Code till date was not implemented? Why we could, though this is a liberal principle, but still why we could not able to implement? So there is a fear among the minorities that in the name of Uniform Civil Code, our cultures can be subjugated. Our culture can be subjugated under the majoritarian culture. Majoritarian cultural laws can be implemented on us. So that's why till date we could not able to come up with the Uniform Civil Code. Okay. So that's why this fear of this majoritarianism, social backwardness, economic backwardness, divisive politics. So along with that, in the recent past, we have seen this role of media, especially social media. It is literally acting as a catalyst. Okay. So this is the role of media and social media. So we have this law and order also. We have lack of proper police reforms. Okay. So that's why we could not able to analyze why the communal violence happens. We could not able to, and suppose, for example, see in the day before yesterday's incident, police could not able to sense the crowd. Almost 300 people surrounded the police station, but the police could not able to mobilize the forces to stop it. Eventually, we have seen the violence. So these administrative failures also, admin failures. So these are also the challenges. Okay. So finally, what should be the solution then? Solutions. Suppose, for example, here solutions are of two types: immediate and long term. Immediate means after happening of this communal right. Okay. So immediate means immediately using the force, at the same time calling people from both the sides, calling the elders from both the sides and having a meeting with them. Okay. stopping the media to not spread hatred, providing some kind of regulations to media in what way the information has to be covered. Okay, so these are some immediate measures. Long-term measures means, so we have to strengthen the what you call the we have to stick with the constitutional values. Simple. Constitutional values. So we have to implement the constitutional values. Okay, so we have to encourage the non-violence. Okay, even in schools and colleges also we have to encourage this value-oriented education. So why do we need to have a communal harmony? Okay, so these are all the so solution means, so here at the end of that we need to have a change of mindset. Okay, so we have to create awareness generation. So these all are the solutions. So this is what is communalism, factors, issues with respect to communalism, and solutions. So with that note, I'm ending the topic. Thank you.